Good morning, third grade. Today in language, we're going to be using our English books again. So make sure you have this ready. And if you look on the board, you can see that we're on page 231 and 232. Today in language, we're still working on our adjectives. And each day you're going to see that we're adding a little bit more to what we learned the previous day. So day one was just what are adjectives? Adjectives do what, third grade? They describe nouns, correct. So they describe person, places, or things. They tell us what color they are, how big they are, what they're like, and just describe it as much as we can. That's what adjectives do. They make our sentences more interesting and give a lot more detail. And then yesterday, we found out how we can add ER and EST. When we're comparing two, we use ER. When we're comparing three or more, we use EST. All right, and we did some fun sentences there, adding ER and EST. Well, today we're going to learn about long adjectives like beautiful and frightening. And usually we're going to look at syllables that are two or more. We're going to consider those long adjectives. Most of the time, the three ones, though, like frightening, beautiful. And we're going to see that instead of adding ER to those words, because they're going to sound a little crazy, like this house is beautifuler than the other house next door. Beautifuler it just sounds too long, right? Now we're making it like a 4-syllable word. So what we do when we're comparing two things, let's say we're using the word beautiful. Boy, that house is beautiful over there. Oh, but that house is more beautiful than that house. If I'm only comparing two, I'm going to add the word more. That's for two nouns. Now, let's say I'm looking at a whole neighborhood and someone says, oh, which one do you like the best? Which one to you is the most beautiful? I would say, ooh, that house with the yellow porch or whatever is the most beautiful of all of the houses on the neighborhood. Now, if you said, well, how many houses are there in the neighborhood? We don't know, but we know there's more than two, okay? So anytime there's three or more, we're going to use the word most if they are long adjectives. Now, there's an exception, so I want you to look here. Is fun a long adjective? We had a fun day, right? That's a short adjective, but I cannot say funner. I can't say yesterday was fun, but today was funner. No, we're going to say today was more fun than yesterday when I'm comparing two. If I'm saying out of all the days, Wednesday has been the most fun, okay, we're going to use most. Okay, so that's a special rule because most of the time with short words, he's tall, he's taller, he's the tallest. I don't say more tall or most tall. Same thing with fast. Boy, she runs fast, but that girl over there, man, she runs even faster. Oh, but that third grader, she runs the fastest, okay? So most of the time with short words, we just add ER, EST. For fun, we got to do more fun and most fun. All right, so let's look at this sample on the board. See if you guys can read it with me. The bear was more frightening than the giraffe. Okay, so frightening is my adjective. What is frightening describing? Frightening is describing my bear, correct? And I could just have said the frightening bear scared me or something like that. But if I'm comparing two things, I'm comparing the bear to the giraffe and which one was more frightening to me. Since there are two animals, what are my two animals? The bear and the giraffe. We're going to use more. And so the bear was more frightening than the giraffe. Now, if I went to the zoo and I said, well, I'm looking at all the animals, the lion was the most frightening animal in the zoo. Now, I used most because we know there's more than two animals at the zoo, right, guys? Okay, the other trick here, same thing when we were doing ER and EST. You remember when we did ER, like taller, But then if I said she is the tallest, I added that word the in front of the est adjective. Well, same thing when we use most. If we're using that 3 or more, we're going to add that word the. The lion was the most frightening. We're never going to say the lion was most frightening. We'll say the most frightening if we're comparing them to other animals or other things. Okay? All right, so we are going to move over and get our workbook page. We're going to do page 1, and then we'll see if we have time for the back side. All right, so here we go. Moving over. I think next week I'm going to be videoing from home, so you guys are going to see a different type of classroom, which is going to be interesting. Okay, I'm going to turn those lights off so we don't have any glare. Oops. There we go. Okay. I think it helps for you guys to see the board or to see the screen when the lights aren't on it. We'll see how that looks. Okay. All right. So guys, let's go to you can see there are 2 sentences there at the top that I had on the board. We're going to go down to guided practice right underneath the giraffe. Remember that we're on page 231. So if you weren't on the right page, make sure you get there. Okay. So on this one, they want us to underline the correct adjective to complete each sentence. So what's nice about this, guys, is they give us the 2 choices and we just have to decide which one. So I'm going to read it out loud. You tell me which one sounds better, and then we'll see why we picked it. Uncle Ralph said that visiting the Arctic was the more interesting trip he had ever taken. Okay, I'm going to read it again with the second choice. Uncle Ralph said that visiting the Arctic was the most interesting trip he had ever taken. Which one sounded better there, 3rd grade? The second one. So we're going to underline most interesting. And there's a hint there. Remember back to the board work that we were doing a second ago. Whenever I use the word most, there has to be the in front of it, and there it is. Okay? He's comparing this trip to all the trips he's ever taken, not just 2 specific trips. Okay? All right, let's go down to number 2. Make it a little bit smaller here so we can see our period. Okay. It is more difficult to live in a polar region than in a rainforest. Or it is most difficult to live in a polar region than in a rainforest. Which one did you pick there? More difficult is correct. Now, let's look. If you thought, I thought most sounded better, let's check. Is there the in front of it? No, I only have it is here. There's no the. Because if it said it is the most difficult place to live or something like that, then we would have used most, but it doesn't have it. So we're comparing. It is more difficult to live in the polar regions than in the rainforest. We're comparing those 2 areas. If we're only comparing 2, we use more. All right, let's try number 3. The storms in polar regions are the more terrible in the world. The storms in polar regions are the most terrible in the world. Which one did you pick? Most. And what was our clue? When we use most, is there a the in front? Yes, there is. All right. Now, on the next section down, we're going to pick which one is correct. And they're trying to trick us a little bit here. So remember our rules. If we're using long adjectives, we're going to use more or most. If we're using short adjectives besides fun, we're going to add our E-R-E-S-T. Okay, so let's see. Wonderful. What would be if I was comparing something that was wonderful and I wanted to compare it with something else that was wonderful? I could say, let's see, what's something wonderful to do since we're like not getting to go out that much anymore? If Miss Roach could pick any day, I would say I would want to go to the beach, walk on the beach, feel the sand. So I could say, it is wonderful to walk on the beach. And you might say, oh, Miss Roach, you're crazy. I want to go to Disneyland. So you could say, it is more wonderful, or it is wonderfuler to go to Disneyland than the beach. Okay, which one sounded right, guys? Yes, more wonderful. We're not going to say wonderfuler. It also sounds weird, right? We can kind of hear it. Okay, let's try the next one. Nice. Okay, it is, I'm always thinking of different, let's think of two animals that are nice. So dogs are nice. Can you think of something that would be nicer than a dog? How about just a pig for Mrs. Roach's sake here? Okay, that little dog is nice, but that little pig over there is nicer, or that pig over there is more nice than the dog. Which one did you like better? Now it's kind of interesting because both of them didn't sound bad, but what is our rule? If it's a short adjective, all we're going to do is add ER. So we'll say, that little pig is nicer than the dog. Okay, let's go to number 6. Fast. Are we going to say faster or more fast? That was on the board. Do you remember it? Faster, that's right. It's a short one. We just add ER. How about colorful? Would we say colorfuler or more colorful? Let's count how many syllables in colorful. Colorful. I've got 3. That's definitely a long adjective. We're going to use more on there. Okay. Let's go down to our last box, and then we'll do that bottom one too. I think we are doing well on time. Okay. So we're going to circle the correct form of each adjective that compares more than 2. So unusual, unusualest, most unusual. Unusual. That has 4 syllables. We are for sure going to do most unusual. All right, let's look at low. It's short. Let's do lowest. Good job. Enjoyable. Did you pick most enjoyable? Good. Let's count the syllables. Enjoyable. 4 syllables. Okay, let's do dark. Darkest. Very good. That's a short one. We're just going to add the EST. All right, now it says, write the correct form of important to complete the sentence. My Bible is the, oh, I saw the. So that gives me a hint. I'm either going to add EST to my adjective, or I'm going to put most in front, because we know with the, we either need EST or most. So let's see. My Bible is the importantest book I have, or my Bible is the most important book I have. You're right, guys. And what a great sentence to end our language class with. My Bible is the most important book I have. Very good. And since they already put the period in for us, we don't need to add it. Okay, friends, I'm actually going to let you turn it over to the back and try that paper. And I am going to, I can find my book fast enough. Here we go. I'm going to take a picture of the back side so that you guys can check your work. So go ahead and pause the video and then come right back to this page. I'm going to move it down. And you can check your answers to see if they match mine. And it's just making it a little bit tricky for me to erase. Don't want to run out of time here. Okay, so I'm going to make it big. You guys hopefully have it paused. Don't look yet. And now you can start checking section 1 and section 2. All right, guys, have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.